Hey, what's up? We're the Band CAMINO. We're hanging out with Rob on Front Row Live.
I'm super excited to be finally getting to talk to you guys. I've been a fan of you guys for some time, and now this new, I don't know if I want to call it new era, but this new music that you guys have been releasing is another masterpiece of your creations. With One Last Cigarette, it gives, I love that you guys brought out the electric guitar. I love that it's so it's loud and clear. And it kind of reminds me of that intro of Daphne Blue. And it also kind of reminds me a little bit of Free of Charge from back in the day, because it gave me that little bit of that guitar sound. So talk to me about implementing the guitar a little more this time around.
Well, so with Try Hard, that's, we wanted to make sure that people were aware that we did play electric guitar,
that we try hard,
that we do try really hard, and we do like electric guitar. And then when we released Roses, we obviously showed that we have multiple sides to us, but deep down we also play keyboards, and but deep down we like to be a rock band, and we like to be loud. We're some loud boys, so we'd like to show that side of us.
Yeah, like you said, it's definitely a new era. We're working on a new record, so that we've put out 2 songs from this new era, from the forthcoming record that's we're still working on. It's definitely pretty well rounded, so we kind of wanted to follow Roses with a more up tempo song that was more in our lane. Actually, mentioning the electric guitar, that's actually one thing that's cool about One Last Cigarette is it's the first time we've actually used acoustic guitar. I think it's the first time we've had because in the verses and stuff and down choruses, it's all just acoustic. It's the first time we've put acoustic in a Band CAMINO song, which is definitely telling of the new music. There's plenty of acoustic songs coming. So
that's actually kind of mind-blowing.
I know. It was our first time playing acoustic guitar in our lives.
But yeah, that's actually kind of mind-blowing, because to me, listening to you guys, it's I feel like it's pretty much keys or acoustic guitar. But it's interesting that that's the first time that you guys kind of use it in a song like that. Why did you feel One Last Cigarette was the appropriate time to kind of bring this new era into it?
Well, honestly, that acoustic was from when we demoed the song originally. That was that was how we wrote it. We wrote it on an acoustic, and it just sounded so good that we really wanted to keep it in there. And also, it helps with the dynamics of the actual song. It helps it bring down really low without it changing to keys or not sacrificing the integrity of the guitar song. It's very clearly a guitar song, so it's nice to have a little bit of dynamic.
Ultimately, it's just a little foreshadowing for the rest of the record. There's a lot of acoustic guitars on the record.
There are a lot.
Yeah, we're practicing. I'm gonna show you right now. We're literally rehearsing. We were playing One Last Cigarette 5 minutes ago, but we play with these helixes with live. So I'm not actually even using an acoustic guitar. I just have an acoustic sim. So I'm playing electric guitar, and the helix makes it sound like an acoustic guitar, so I don't have to switch between guitars in the middle of the song. So I just switch between patches, and one of them is just makes my electric guitar sound like an acoustic guitar, which is pretty wild.
Mind-blowing.
Technology, dude.
That's awesome. Now, talk to me a little bit about the creative process for this song in particular, and how different was the writing process. For example, now that there's different instrumentations that we get to listen to, or different types of sounds that we get to listen to. So how does that change the way that you guys write and consider the ranges that you're going to be hitting?
The writing process has been pretty similar as it's always been. Besides the fact that we've kind of all just written way more songs, I think we wrote so many songs. I mean, this is our first full-length record. I mean, Try Hard kind of counted as a full-length, but really to us, it was we counted it as an EP because 3 of the songs were already out, so it was 5 new songs. But this is a full record. So I mean, and we've been a band for 5 years now so we've been writing songs in hopes of making a full-length album for 5 years, and then we obviously wrote a ton of songs the coming, like One Last Cigarette was literally written like 2 days before we went into the studio, and Spencer wrote it with our producer and this other guy, and we were sitting down to pick Jeff Warburton, the other guy that he wrote it with. We were sitting down to like pick the songs right before we went into the studio. And Spencer was like, "Oh yeah, I wrote this yesterday. Like, we should probably consider like recording this one." And I was just like, "Bro, what?" Like, it was like my first time hearing it, and like in my head, I had like the list of the songs I wanted to be on the record, and everyone had their own list. And we were like, "What about this one? What about this one?" Because we had a Dropbox full of like, we wrote like tons and tons of songs, and then like the ones that actually there was like 50 that like made the cut as like songs we could pick from in consideration, and then we had to narrow it down from there. So it was like, I don't know, but as far as the creative process, we did a lot of co-writing, we did a lot of writing together, we did a lot of writing together with co-writers. Like Nashville's a very collaborative place for just songwriting, and it's definitely challenged us, but it's kind of been the same as ever. Just we've just like stepped up the game and wrote like so many songs and then picked from there.
And talk to me about like working with Jordan Smith, because you guys have worked with him a couple times before, and I love because his background right now, he's currently like with a lot more like country artists, but you know, before he used to do a lot of like the popular stuff and a lot of like the, I guess like the emo bands that we grew up listening to. So you know, what is that chemistry with Jordan, and how do you guys feel like he's kind of made the band become better within each song that you guys work with?
Well, I think we're like a perfect mixture for him because we have those pop punk sensibilities and that sort of side to us, but also we're in his new world of songwriting and like the whole Nashville scene and all that stuff. So I think we're kind of I mean, I don't want to speak for him personally, but I think we are sort of a breath of fresh air for him to have a passion project and his whole, you know, his world's kind of colliding.
Yeah. I think the cool thing about working with Jordan, it's been a relationship that has been cultivated through making the records. You know, obviously we're all friends, but the chemistry from, you know, Daphne Blue to, you know, the few songs we did like See Through and Know Me, and then we went to record Try Hard, and now this, you know, full length album, the synchronicity between all of us, had to use that. It truly like has gotten to the point where it's just like and he said this, he feels just as much a part of this as any of us, and he cares that much about this project specifically for his own artistic integrity. And I mean it's crazy just like getting to work with one of the best producers around right now and him love doing it. Like it makes for great records. I mean,
and at this point, we've been making like, Daphne Blue is, I guess, the first thing we did with him, and at this point now he's just like the boy. Like he's like our homie as much as like we're homies in a way. Like he's been there for all of the making of the record, and we wrote a bunch of songs with him for the record. Like he's just like been a major part of our lives since we moved to Nashville a couple years ago, almost 3 years ago now. Damn. But more than anything, like we're just like, we have a lot of fun now making music together, because I think for like he grew up making pop punk records, like he said. Now he's been like, you know, doing a lot of country since he moved to Nashville, and now it's kind of like he's getting back into like making like a rock album with like, you know, some guys I think that remind him of like what he started when I don't know, the kind of music that he fell in love with when he started making music, when he was like, he always like talks about like making music in garages and like you know, recording in living rooms and stuff like that, like growing up in all these like bands, and he works with
he was if I'm correct, he was assisting Matt Squire, which was a big deal like in the pop punk world.
So, but now it's at this point, man, Jordan's just like one of the best guys around, and like he's a really good friend of ours, and it's so fun getting to make music with someone like that who's also just incredible.
And how do you guys build a relationship with a producer like that, where you guys consistently work with him, but at the same time, like you don't want to get comfortable with him either, because then I feel like you start to just stay in that comfort zone with every new track. So as you guys are building this relationship with Jordan, like how do you guys still get challenged within each record that you guys produce with him?
Oh, he enjoys challenge. That's his personality type, is to challenge you. And I think that's why he works so well with us, because we knew that coming in, and that was like the basis of our relationship at the beginning was he's going to come in and challenge you, and he's going to challenge your music and like what you do.
Yeah.
But if you know that at the core of it, and you can start to respect it more and more, and you can, while that still is a part of it, and maybe not the most important, I mean, it is one of the most important components of, of us being together. But
I think the biggest quality in that, I mean, he's part of picking the songs with us too. I mean, because he's so invested, and we say it, there's obviously like passion songs we have, but like the best song wins. When we're picking between 50 songs and we can only pick, 10, 20, whatever, you're cutting so many songs. It's like, how do you pick that? And he's kind of that voice of reason, that like reality check, like, hey, this song sucks, this song's great. And because, you get demo-itis and you're just like attached to a song, but it might not be that great of a song, and he's he's
far enough removed away from it.
I wouldn't say he picks the songs, but he definitely, like, we respect his opinion a lot on what songs that that's a better way are recording with him. And he was on this record, there's like an instance of a certain song that's coming out eventually that he really, really believed in. And we were like, I don't know, like, we feel like this song might be the better fit and whatever. And he was like, guys, I'm telling you, like, this song is magic. It's really special. I really believe in this song. And he's like, he gave us the whole, like, I've been working with you guys for so long, and I can just see this song being like in this. And we were like, dude, okay, we trust you. So like, it was one of those moments where we like cut the song because he was really passionate about it. And we all love the song, but it was like, there were so many to choose from. It's like, oh, which one? And now that we have it done and it's finished and mixed and we're sending it off to master like this week, we're like, damn, like, we're so glad we cut the song.
Yeah,
because we were literally just playing
he was definitely
and, like,
right.
He was right. Like, it's one of those
right.
things where it's like, man, like, and he definitely challenges us in that way where he's not just like a yes man at all. He is like, he loves confrontation in a way. And he's like, he loves like, just like, it's a lot of like big personalities in the room, and he doesn't back down at all. He just jumps right in and is like, no, what about this? And, we figure it out, but it's fun, like, wrestling that medium between all of us and him, and the healthy tension and the healthy like confrontation. And then,
Now, as far as like when he's producing like these instrumentations or even the arrangement of the songs, have you guys found that he's given you some different ways of recording sounds instead of using an instrument or instead of using like a plugin? Like, has he challenged you guys in that way or in that sense?
Definitely. I think we challenge each other too, and we just trying all kinds of weird shit.
We definitely get weird with anything you can hit, scrape, like anything you could think of that makes a sound could be on a record with us.
Yeah, and I will say he definitely sets like a precedent for us that he is really willing and open to try anything, and he will ask you to do weird shit all the time.
Yeah,
which is great because then it makes us feel like we can do the same thing with him, and he won't be, he's like, well, let's give it a try, and if it sucks, he has no problem telling you that it sucks. But if it's cool, he's like, you know what, like, that's, we can definitely use this. So and that just helps in all aspects of creativity, having somebody that's open to hearing you out on something new, something different that you haven't done before.
Harrison, like, how do you feel like the drums have evolved with this record that you guys are currently working on? And, how challenging or how easy is it for you to kind of change the dynamics when you go from a slower song to something more fast-paced, like One Last Cigarette?
Man, nobody ever asks about drums. That's awesome.
It's your moment, dude.
It's my moment.
You've been preparing for this your whole life.
To be completely honest, and it kind of like goes back to when I was young. I grew up. I started playing jazz music, and then started playing at a bunch of churches where I'm from. And then it led to being in a rock band, not Camino. And then when I moved to Nashville, I had been playing with all kinds of different artists. So I've learned over the years to be a chameleon. And I think the coolest part of this record, going from, that Poppy or Roses sound to One Last Cigarette to another song that I'm not going to name right now because it's not out, but it will be, like it's slower, it's faster. There's pop, there's rock. It really comes down to just knowing your craft and being confident in what you can do. And then just like pushing the boundaries with it. And I feel like the drum parts on this record, specifically ones that have not been heard yet, are some of my like proudest like things that I've come up with. Like, and it oftentimes comes comes down to all of us in the room being like, hey, do this one actually. And then it like, we just combine like 8 different ideas and then it creates a really cool part. So a lot of the parts are written in the room. Sonically, we owe a lot to Jerry Ordonez, who was our engineer. That man is a G. Like, I mean, he can make anything sound great. And the drums on this record, like, there's no triggers, there's no samples. It's like,
It's all real.
it's real. And that's what's crazy. It's just like sonically, you know, when I first joined the band, everything sounded good. Everything started sounding great. And then, man, this record, I could not be more happy with the way that the drums sound and everything else. But, you know.
As you guys kind of mentioned that you have been in Nashville for 3 years, I'm sure the impact of the songwriting has been insane since moving to Nashville. But what do you guys feel, or how do you guys feel you became a better songwriter? Is it because of these collaborators that you constantly worked with, or new writers that you kind of like worked with or talked to? Or is it just, you know, kind of experience of being in this band and being able to tour and being able to kind of see how your fan base kind of grows and what your audience likes to talk about and doesn't like to talk about?
Yeah, man, I think it's, like you said, I think it's for me personally, and I think the other guys would say the same thing. It's just getting the reps in, getting the experience, like getting, and we've also just met a lot of, and made a lot of friends who are songwriters up here. And we were lucky enough to get into that community pretty early. And yeah, I mean, just learning how to, reps, learning how to listen better, and just like having conversation and really not letting anything get in the way of writing the best song you can possibly write in that moment.
And I mean, that's one reason why I'm thankful for 2020. Even, you know, it was kind of crappy year just for everybody, but, you know, it gave us the time to truly, and specifically myself, just because I've been getting into producing and just trying to get better as a songwriter and blah, blah, blah. And just, you know, the reps, like, I feel like that has been the biggest for me anyway, is just doing it every day, you know, and having the time to do that.
Yeah, true.
With the songs that you guys have out so far for this album, and because, as you mentioned, Garrison, 2020 helped you guys kind of become better at your craft. When you guys are writing these lyrics, do you guys find that those initial lyrics that you wrote the first time you put them on paper are the same lyrics that we're listening to today? Or do you find yourself still kind of reconstructing the song before it's actually finalized?
Definitely both.
Yeah, definitely both.
There's a lot of times where, you know, it's there, it's perfect. You're like, I'm not touching this. And then there's a lot of times you sit with it, or you even leave the write or finish the song and you're like, there's something like verse 2, maybe you just, or like the second half of the chorus. I mean, you're almost never fully done with something. Like,
it's just when you
artist,
choose
like,
to stop working on it. It's you're never really finished with something. It's just when is the deadline. Like, that's basically
And then there's also a lot of those times where you just know that, I mean, with instrumentation and mixing and stuff like that, I feel like, you're never truly done. You can always keep tweaking it. But a lot of times with the words, you know when it's right too. Like, there's a mix of that involved.
True.
Yeah. So both.
Yeah, the one that we were talking about earlier that Jordan was super passionate about, we were sitting, I mean, we had finished it, we thought, then we went down to the Sonic Ranch where we recorded, and we were like on the last couple days still trying to get the perfect lyric for it, like still trying to just workshopping it and just going for it as long as we possibly could. And we got it, in fairness. We got it the exact way that it should have been. And
we probably wrote like 4 different second verses for it.
Yeah, there's a lot of different versions for that song. So,
and like all these different alternative chorus lines. So like we have, I was like looking back through my journal, and there's just like all these lines of like
so
what these lines
options
could have been. And then like we pretty much settled on like almost what it like for the chorus lines, like almost what it was when we started off. Just like the tweak was like right under our nose the whole time.
Yeah, it was like
it was right there, but we got it, and you know that's all that matters. Really.
Yeah.
Now, lastly, to close us off, for me, I first found out about you guys. I think it was 2016 when you guys released "I Spend Too Much Time in My Room," and since then, like I've seen how much the band has kind of like evolved. So when you look back at that time to now, like, do you see that evolution like as a drastic evolution, or do you feel like it was just a natural process? Like this was supposed to happen the way that it happened?
Definitely both again. I think like
it's a good question.
I don't know. I think like it's definitely been a natural process. We've grown up a little bit. We've moved around. Meeting Garrison is probably the biggest thing that's changed. I feel like me and Spencer's lives over the past, and our manager Jameson. But as far as interband working, like interband dynamic and creativity, Garrison kind of like saved our lives in a way. Garrison's like a monster musician and producer, and
it definitely re-inspired us.
And like having him on board has been. We met him in
2018.
July 4th, 2018. I had a 4th of July cookout and Garrison came through and then
played drums downstairs in our basement.
Yeah, we all had a few beers and we had a drum set set up in our basement. And then next thing you knew, like some people were jamming downstairs and because we moved to Nashville after losing it. Like we were in between drummers basically. We moved to Nashville without a drummer. And we just saw Garrison playing drums at our house and we were like, this guy,
we got to get him. Yeah, we got to
get him in
this
our band. So that was a huge part of our growth. And then, the reason that we moved to Nashville was meeting our manager, Jameson, who's like become one of our, best friends now for the past 3 years too. And like, he's a crazy man. He like is the most like one of the most inspiring people to be around and like
huge catalyst for
everyone everyone's life that he's in. And like, he's amazing. And just like the whole team of people that we've met and us just figuring out like how to better get out the music that's inside of us. And like, I don't know. And then but it's also been super drastic and super fast. Like looking back, you're like, dang, like what's happening? Like, what is this? But all we can really do is just like keep making music that we want to listen to and music that we would turn up in the car. And
that's the one consistent thing that we've always tried to, we just tried to stay true to ourselves and always tried to listen to our hearts with it and make sure that it's what, it's the same vision that we saw when we, were first inspired to start doing all this. And we try to stay true to ourselves and the people that listened to our music back then as well. So
whatever that means.
We're just hanging out, making
that's awesome, man. That's all I got to say. I'm still surprised.
Keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. So congratulations with the new single and definitely looking forward to this record. And thank you guys for taking the time to talk to me.
Dude, thanks for talking to us. Thanks for the long time support, man. Like you were naming all the old songs that warmed my heart, dude.
We could keep going, but
dude, you can have it up too much, dude.